Auguste Rodin. He was born in 1840 and began to draw at the age of 10. He attended the Petite École school from age 14 to 17, and this is where he studied mathematics and art, in specific, drawing and painting. He applied and was denied 3 times from the École des Beaux-Arts in 1857. His older sister Maria died in 1862, which left him heartbroken because he introduced her to her unfaithful suitor. Therefore, he joined a Catholic congregation, but his talent was noticed by the founder and head, St. Peter Julian Aymer. After being encouraged to continue sculpting, Rodin took classes with animal sculptor Antoine Louis Barrier, which taught him focus on detail and portraying movement. He began dating on and off with Rose Buret in 1864. He entered his first exhibition in 1864 with Mask of the Man with the Broken Nose. They had a son, Auguste Eugene Buret, in 1866. He became chief assistant to Albert Ernest Carrier-Belleuse until 1870. Barrier influenced his attention to detail and emphasized the portrayal of movement. Here we can see in Mask of the Man with the Broken Nose, Rodin's focus on realism, his rejection of the classical standards of beauty. He incorporates the face of a local handyman in the rejection of this notion. This piece was rejected twice by the Paris Salon. Rodin was called to serve in the French National Guard during the Franco-Prussian War, but was dismissed early due to his nearsightedness. He went to Belgium with Carrier-Belleuse to work on decorative and ornamental aspects of the Brussels Stock Exchange. He spent 6 years in Belgium, and his relationship with Belleuse fizzled. Rodin visited Italy in 1875. It was there he admired the work of Michelangelo and Donatello, and their depictions of the natural human form. He completed the Age of Bronze in 1876, and it was so realistic and true to scale that it spurred rumors of cheating or him using a mold. It shows the anguish and struggle, with room to still be optimistic looking into his eyes. Its lifelike size did not help quell the rumors either that it was a fake. Here we see his The Age of Bronze. It was exhibited in 1877, and it led to him to have lifelong accusations in his career of cheating or mold casting. Look at the lifelike impressions on the body. They say Rodin leaves finger marks as evidence that he has worked himself on the piece. In 1877, Buret and Rodin moved back to Paris to stay with her sister Thérèse and Rodin's senile and deteriorating father. In 1879, Carrier-Belleuse, art director of the Sèvres porcelain factory, appoints him as part-time designer. That was the extension of the olive branch that would rekindle their friendship. In 1880, he created his famous St. John the Baptist preaching. Looking at St. John the Baptist preaching, we can see the dynamic stance he is in, the suggestion of movement in his veins, in his muscles, in the extension of his fingertips and his legs. Pay attention to the level of detail and different textures that are shown. In 1880, he won the commission to create a portal to a museum. This would start his greatest project yet, his 40 years' worth of work on The Gates of Hell. Parts of The Gates of Hell became sculptures in their own right, such as The Thinker and The Kiss, and many others actually as well. He got his own studio as a result of winning this commission. Here we can see his piece, The Gates of Hell. There are many different parts that connect and make it into one unified piece, with the theme being Dante's Inferno and the actual gates of hell. The thinker sits atop and looks over the rest in his thoughtful and thought-provoking pose. Is he thinking? We don't know, but we can see the suggestion of emotion and movement in the piece. There are people struggling, there are scenes of misery, and it is all executed very well and to a technical scale that has not been seen. Here we can more closely see the thinker. In actuality, it was a rather minute piece in comparison to some of his larger works, but has been reproduced and is one of the most often forged pieces of art in the world. Here we see the kiss as well, which shows a tender and intimate embrace between two lovers. Notice the gentle placement of the hands, the way they're caressing each other. The piece implies dynamic motion and shows a level of emotion and insight into the human psyche. In 1883, he met Camille Claudel. They inspired and encouraged each other's arts, and he became one of her muses. In 1891, he was chosen to create a monument for the town of Calais, and in 1890, he completed The Burghers of Calais, which depicts a moment in time from the 100 Years' War between England and France. Here we can look closer at his piece. You can see the anguish and individual suffering and different expressions that each man wears on his face. It is meant to show the suffering of the men who were forced to walk during the 100 Years' War. They each have distinct looks, and one can only guess what each man is thinking. Rodin emphasizes and highlights the human form and its various crevices, textures, and shapes. He steered away from the idealism of the classical Greek and Roman styles. His clear artistic style and personality can be seen in one of his fragments, The Walking Man. Some accredit him for bringing the focus of sculpture back to the human body and the human form. In his most famous fragment, The Walking Man, we can see here more dynamic, implied movement. He allowed his models in his workshop and studio to move around freely and would make quick sketches in clay. He did his best to show movement, depth, and physical emotion, all through suggested and implied textures. He made art exist as far as sculpture so that form could exist for form's sake, not to imitate or commemorate. In 1909, he suggested the Hotel Biron become a museum to his work. He died in 1917 while living in the hotel, and in 1919, the Rodin Museum officially opens at the Hotel Biron. We ask ourselves, what function does his art serve? It serves as far as commentary to show and highlight bodies that are different and the different textures our bodies are capable of producing. As far as self-expression, it reflects on our bodies and what makes us human, and how we evoke our feelings and emotions through the physical and through action. The theory of art criticism we can use is the expressive theory. Rodin expresses his views on the human form and makes his pieces very realistic and natural to emphasize his expression of being human. He imbues his pieces with a sense of dynamic movement and emotion that captures the rawness of the human psyche physically. It was Rodin who said, "The sculptor must learn to reproduce the surface, which means all that vibrates on the surface, soul, love, passion, life. Sculpture is thus the art of hollows and mounds, not of smoothness or even polished plains." And here are some various citations for your leisure. Thank you for watching.